It's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is way easier from outside of the cage. I am your host, Kevin Phillips. With me, of course, Raf Esparza. Raf, how are you doing this evening?
Take two!
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yes, take two. You know what? Let me start with an apology, because this is all my fault. You know why? And we're going to explain. But essentially, we recorded a very fantastic podcast.
Oh, it was amazing. Like
2 nights ago.
It clicked. Every joke hit. Kevin and I were laughing. We had to stop momentarily during the podcast because we were laughing.
And as I was editing the podcast, and this is what I'm apologizing for, I sent Raph a message that said, wow, this is a really funny podcast. Like, just listening to it again, I'm laughing. I rarely find myself funny, and I don't think I'm alone in that particular column. But in this instance, I was enjoying it. It was moving fast. We were having quick, fun conversations, and then something happened. I'm apologizing for complimenting the podcast halfway through editing. I feel like we were in the middle of a perfect game. We were in the 8th inning, and I started talking about it.
Okay. Now, granted, I don't hold that much against you for doing that. I was a little thrown off when you're just like, Ref, this is a good one. And I was like, a good one? When have we done one of those? And then all of a sudden, you hear a frantic series of texts and messages from Kevin that are just like, my voice is gone. And I was like, yay, that's great. And then you realize the functionality of a co-host not being on the podcast for 65 minutes. And you say, well, that is pretty bad to just have a lot of dead air. It's like a very existential
Allow me to explain the technicalities of what happened in an open apology to the audience.
Yes.
It was all set. It was saved. I had done it the way I have done it 44 previous podcast and in the conversion, as I was sending it to create the MP3 file that we will then load up into our website URL and send off into the internet, in that process, it eliminated the first 65 minutes of my audio. It did not eliminate all of the audio. It didn't eliminate the last half of the audio. It just eliminated the first 65 minutes, which, the way we do the podcast, if anyone's nerdy enough to understand, is broken up into small chunks of a larger single track.
Sure.
But you have to go through and select each chunk individually to delete them. So it's not something I can do. It's not something I would ever do without noticing.
So wait, Kevin, does that mean that you were not in, not just the opening segment, but during the interviews that we did today?
Oh, yeah. During one of the interviews, we're going to do our best to recreate and cut and still give you, the audience, the best we can from both Josh Hill and Juliana Peña. But some of it is going to sound a little weird. And spoiler alert, Josh Gentleman Hill is on the show tonight, and so is Juliana, the Venezuelan vixen Peña.
And our apologies to them, because I'm sure they're going to hear a much different interview than what they did. This is akin to, like, you ever listen to, like, Top 40 Radio when they say, like, this week we interviewed Lady Gaga. And when I asked her, hey, Lady Gaga, what's it like to tour the world? She said, hey, yeah, sometimes I like sleeping, but touring is cool. And it's like the stock quote they give to all the radio stations. It's going to sound like that.
It's not going to be quite... Mostly Josh Hill is getting effed in this one, which I swear it's not because he's Canadian. And we like Josh Hill. We don't have any sort of Dana isms about his fighting style. Most of Juliana's interview will stay intact. But so our apologies if some of it sounds a little off. We will not misrepresent the fighters in any way or doing any colorful editing. But it is going to be a little bit different than it was as recorded. So now, our apologies at Verbal Tap Studios.
Wouldn't it have been a better idea to just let them exist and see if they ever figured that out?
Maybe.
But
we couldn't do it. We have too much. We have a little thing called integrity in this podcast. We don't have much humor, we don't have much fact, and we don't have much science. But what we lack in those professional categories, Raph, we make up for with a little thing called integrity. So we wanted to apologize, we wanted to flush it out, and even though we caught magic in a bottle with our first podcast, we're going to try and do it again.
We're going to try and recreate all of the shit that we did. So it's going to really come through with the amount of excitement that we bring for a second time to everything we've already talked about. But before we go any further, I would like to say on behalf of everybody, Kevin, you're doing a great job. So people who are listening, send Kevin a very nice message. He's been going through it the past couple days. You can find him at Twitter on there at PhillipsKevin1. PhillipsKevin1 on Twitter. Send him a nice message.
It is to catch magic in a fucking bottle.
It's really difficult.
Hard.
It's
and now
really
we're trying
difficult.
to do it twice the many times. So I appreciate that, Raph. And you've been very positive. I wanted to put my head through a computer screen just out of sheer anger, and Raph slowly talked me off the ledge throughout the last 24 hours. So you handled it much better than I did. So we're moving forward. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
With that, I'm adding civility to the world, Raph.
How's that?
The other day, while rolling, I was ranting about what a shitty spokesperson Dana White is. Fine president, fine runner of a business, but from a spokesperson standpoint, purely from that position, he's garbage.
Okay. Is it because he's the only person who really speaks on behalf of the UFC?
It's a little bit of that, but it's also because he's super hostile. He lets interviewees and interviewers control the conversation. He lets journalists take him in places that are going to agitate him. And normally that's what someone with, I don't know, credentials and a press background would help avoid. That's why the president has this position called the press secretary. A lot of companies actually use a spokesperson, Raph. I don't have to tell you that.
No, you do not.
Because you're a professional associated with that industry.
That is true. Now, on your side, what was the person who you were rolling with arguing on behalf of Dana White about?
Oh, no, they weren't. That's my point. He looked up at me halfway through 4 minutes of me yelling incessantly, and he goes, you know what? You're right. He is a bad spokesperson. I was like, thank you. Thank you very much.
I find it really hard to believe, especially when you get good people like Dana White responding to reporters' questions. Did you hear this week?
No.
Okay, so Dana White at a press conference got asked about roster cuts. Now, the UFC has recently come under fire because they have to let some people go because they have that many fighters, right?
Yeah.
It's a business practice, and I think for the most part people understand it. But there's a certain way that the Dana White press conference can really break bad, and I'd like to read you.
Break bad is the perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to read you a little thing if I can.
Please. And this is probably in response to someone asking him why he cut a specific fighter. Probably.
This is
right?
correct. Okay.
What is
ready?
the statement?
I keep telling you guys, our roster is too full. Guys have to get fights, and every time after a show, we cut a guy. People say, fuck you, Dana White. You're an idiot. Shut the fuck up and let us run our business. Direct quote.
You are the president of a $500 million industry. You can't scream expletives at people and hope New York is going to take you seriously. Like, that's my point. That's not this. Thank you, Raph. Dynamite journalism, first of all, having both a quotation.
Yes.
From the source that you didn't know I was going to be. Well, you didn't know when we originally aired this that I was going to be ranting about it.
I'm a little more ready this time. But it was original, I promise you guys. And did you see this week that Bellator had some problems, right?
Bellator, and kudos to you. You predicted this like clockwork. You said pay-per-view was a mistake. You said they weren't ready.
Sure.
And when you were screaming, I was like, I wonder why. I kind of agree, but I didn't understand why they weren't ready. And this is why they weren't ready. A single injury brings down the entire reason anyone would pay to see that fight. So kudos. But no, I didn't see. What was Dana's classy remark?
Okay, so let's address this very, very quickly. When you have a pay-per-view hinging on a person who's had a zillion injuries, it is inviting some problems. So Tito Ortiz, 2 weeks out from the fight, basically has a moment where he's now starting to plug the fight where he goes, yeah, Dana White's awful and I hate him. And he's going on all these sports shows talking about him. Then his neck decides to die because, why not? And then all of a sudden the next day, he has to admit it, and Dana White, keep it classy, Dana White, says, "Karma's a fucking bitch." And you get this great moment where you go, Dana, you have the ability to take the high road, and you never take it. You just never take it.
What did you scream? Karma is a fucking bitch. Oh,
Karma's
my
a
God.
fucking bitch.
Oh, that's the perfect response.
Now, here's the other part, and this is where it gets a little
So
dicey
polite.
as well. Dana also was asked about what he thought about Bellator's woes this weekend at a press junket. And do you know what he said there?
What?
Dana basically said, "Oh, I feel bad for those fucking people. Yeah, I mean, couldn't happen to better people." Now, read between the lines. What do you think Dana White is really saying in that moment?
Oh, they can go fuck themselves and thank the good Lord my competition is pretty much done. I mean, that pretty much knocks them off the block for...
It's super embarrassing.
It's just they were so close to being on that cusp of a borderline second tier professional, and now it just kind of bumps them back down. We didn't expect them to come running at the UFC, but they were nipping at their heels.
I mean, it's a little sad.
They are no longer doing that. Yeah,
they went from being like a WCW to now an ECW. It's kind of sad if you were to put it in pro wrestling terms, which I think is relevant to our next topic, question mark?
Master of the segues. Boy, you give Raph a second take, and he brings the A game. That's why you're a pro.
Yep. It's almost as good as the first
You
time.
have these times. All of a sudden, Raph will hit me with breaking news. And part of the reason we started the show is because we are constantly talking MMA, and he hits me with this gem. The WWE is about to announce a fighter from the UFC with a built persona that is not Chael Sonnen is going to be signing with the WWE. How did I do on the details of that?
Pretty good. We don't know that it's for sure. It's the rumor mill. And
Okay.
as you know, here at Verbal Tap, the rumor mill, just as good as real fact.
That sounds fun to me.
So why not?
What are facts but just confirmed rumors?
Exactly. And we
So-
don't have time to wait if they're going to confirm it or not.
And plus, if it turns out not to be true, this isn't going to be nearly as fun next week. So
Exactly.
Raph and I have both brought a few fighters to the table that we think it's going to be.
Yes,
I'll go
would you like to start?
first
Okay.
because you're better at this.
Oh,
I was pretty sure you were going to be better the first time, and I have a pretty good shot you're going to be better the second time. First, I think just Brendan Schaub would be a great candidate because he's not a big fan of actually engaging on fights anyway. There's a little jiu-jitsu burn. No, on a serious note, I think Donald the Cowboy Cerrone is a great candidate.
it's a great candidate.
Probably from Texas. Cowboy, sure. Established persona, gonna make more money. In fact, they should talk to him.
And they have a history of bringing in like cowboys in there. Like Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels
they
for a
love
long time
cowboys.
basically never made an appearance without wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah, drives the ladies crazy. Save a
There you go.
horse. Jason Mayhem Miller, and this one is admittedly Raph's suggestion because my list sucked. And I think Mayhem is a very dark horse candidate
Now, why is that?
because he's nuts. He loves to do his hair. He has a flair for theatrics, and he's fantastic. I love Jason Mayhem Miller. So Mayhem, do it. Make the and just not all that relevant a UFC fighter anymore. Sadly, probably
Plus,
on that
it's
about to get cut list.
Yeah, it probably keeps him from getting into fights at bars randomly against current UFC fighters.
Whatever he can do to keep that down.
Yep.
Final one, Michael the Count Bisping.
Now, that's a great choice.
He isn't really a contender in the UFC, in my opinion. So he has an established persona. I think he makes the trip, and they would love to beat up on a British person. Like, that would be great storylines. For America, sure.
Oh, okay, I can't believe you said that. I mean, the best thing I've ever seen. Oh,
Huh?
What?
What? Michael?
What?
No one can understand the smack you're talking.
don't worry. This week I'm going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be me and John Cena.
And who do you have for your list?
All right, my list. I do have a couple honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1, Stephen Bonner.
Ooh, he's an honorable mention. That's a good
It's
Seven
good.
Bunners. Seven Bunners a really good one.
He mentioned when he was getting enrolled to the UFC Hall of Fame, he would be interested in something like the WWE. I think he mostly needs the money, but that's neither here nor there. I think that's a direct quote from him, so don't take it from me as if.
Oh no, that sounded exactly like Stephen Bonner.
Okay, but I think the more important thing is he's already used to taking steroids, so I think he's right in there.
Okay, steroids encouraged actually in the WWE. He doesn't have to be ashamed anymore.
Yeah, they just leave them out on the table. They're like, okay, if we don't see you use them.
Yeah, if they could understand what the fuck Vitor Belfort was saying, he'd be a great candidate.
My next pick was going to be an honorable mention, and it is Kenny Florian.
Not too pretty?
No. I mean, I think Kenny's got the added bonus of not just knowing jiu-jitsu, which I think translates very well to pro wrestling. There are a lot of very similar moves. But I think Kenny Florian also makes a great addition to the color commentary team. So he can do it all. He can promote the fights. True. He can talk smack. And then he can talk at the booth. I think it's perfect.
Okay, well, you talked me into it, so now I think it's Kenny Florian.
All right. Well, it's not, but I will go through my top 3.
Oh, that's right. He's not even in your... Yeah, we're just now getting to the top 3. Sorry.
Yep. It's okay. They're called honorable mentions for a reason. Number 3. Obviously. Matt Serra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Matt Serra is a good choice.
I think he's super loudmouth. I think he's about as tall as Rey Mysterio Jr., who's on his way out.
Yeah, he would be a kind of tiny version.
Yeah, and I think Matt Serra's also got that kind of, like,
Ninja
ability.
vibe?
Yeah, which Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
Okay, I could see that. He is a party dude. But I think he's definitely got that ability of being... that same background in jiu-jitsu as well, and yelling a lot, which is very important when you are both a heel or a face in a pro wrestling standpoint.
Plus,
I'll go
already mostly hairless, so.
Well, there you go. Number 2, Forrest Griffin.
Forrest Griffin. Yep. It's Forrest Griffin, right?
We can't
Isn't
confirm.
It definitely Forrest Griffin? A guy with an established persona. The words established persona are the key indicator here, because there are maybe 30 people with an established persona that would, and there are maybe only 10 that would leave the UFC, and I think you just named the number. It's Forrest Griffin.
Well, one can hope, but let's not rest on that answer, because I feel I have a better one.
Oh, that's right. That was your number 2. Sorry, but it's
number 1. Can I get a drum roll? Nick Diaz.
Oh, yeah. I guess I can see why he's he would have to eat so much crow on his people don't engage bullshit.
Holy shit. Perfect. You talk about a heel that runs into the crowd, gives the middle finger to everybody. You're going to look at him and think, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who? This dude... You can even see the Titantron in the background just saying 209 when he walks out. And just him with his hands up and just be like, yeah, fuck you guys.
Smoking a joint, drinking a Keystone Light on the way out to the cage or the whatever.
And he's the perfect antithesis to every form of PG and hero that they try to build in WWE. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, okay, well now, I still like Forrest Griffin more, but I like where you're better at this. Your 3 are so much, all 5 of yours are so much better than mine. Because it's definitely Forrest Griffin. Though I do like the Nick Diaz appearance. That is going to do it for our guesses, but now on Twitter, find us, let us know who you all think is going to be headed into the WWE, because I actually really like this game.
I think this is great, and we're not afraid to play this game more often because we love putting people in different situations in the UFC. So help us branch it out. Let us know who you think.
Rumor's all it takes.
Yep.
A rumor's all it takes. All right, Raph, I have a question only someone that watched the fights will be able to answer.
Yes.
1 minute and 44 seconds into the first round, Lyoto Machida had landed 5 strikes, and one of them ended the fight. What happened between Mark Munoz and Lyoto Machida?
Can I tell you I don't want to talk about the fight?
You could tell me that, but the Dragon clearly knocked him. I mean, how much... Well, Good news, if you don't want to talk much about it, it'll be over quickly because the fight was over quickly.
True. Great kick. Machida, typical old-fashioned Machida, times it, knocks down his old former partner when he walks over to him, basically bows to him, looks like he could strike them, but then says, no, I'm just signaling I could end this fight and continue hitting my friend, but I respect him. Then rushes over to Mark Munoz in that way that just like, I'm so sorry I had to do this. They made me do it. Gives him a hug, the two embrace, and then later that night they had a bet that the winner had to buy dinner for the loser. So Machida bought dinner for Munoz, and no one is really talking enough about Lyoto Machida's scarf.
It looks like a gift from Jennifer Lopez, if you haven't seen it. It's long and it's red, and it looks like on the way out of the fights, J-Lo was obviously there. She was like, hey, Dragon,
What?
take this. And that's what he's wearing at his goddamn after-fight dinner. I agree. It's a weird scarf.
I'm so glad that you found the most organic way to bring in a Jennifer Lopez, not just joke, but vocal from Waiting for Tonight.
You're not the only one that obviously does accents on this podcast, Rap. There's a new second-place sheriff in town.
I think that's perfect. No.
Machida beats Munoz. Pearson Gilliard. What happens over... It says no contest. How does this end?
It basically ended... It's one of our big tripes that we hate on this show, which is the hands down, no knee rule.
Yeah.
So there was one knee that came in that was legal, and there was another knee that was kind of like iffy on if it was legal or not. But really, like, it's a dumb rule. And they called it a no contest because Pearson's forehead had like a giant gash in it, and because of the legal strike, they decided to just call it a day. Here's the good news, fight fans. They are going to redo it when they head back out to London in March. So we will get to see a conclusion to that fight. So
cool.
Small
I like
success.
Watching Gilliard fight. So
yeah, I do too.
Manawa TKO's Ryan Jimmo.
Yes, kind of a fight. Jimmo was basically pushing him up against the cage, and Manawa basically figured out how to defend that and started putting it to Jimmo. They make it to a second round. This is where things start to get a little weird about this particular fight. So Jimmo basically takes a knee to the chin and staggers back. And when he staggers back, he gets his footing back, postures up, puts his chest out like, yeah, I still got it. And then all of a sudden, his leg starts twitching. Like, oh, and then just falls back.
Jesus.
And Manawa goes to like swarm on him, and the ref just calls it because, he looks like he's
collapsed.
Yeah, something terrible has happened to him.
Something happened,
and there's no need. I think there was a leg injury, but to put it in context, since you didn't see it, let me see if I can explain it in a better sense. Imagine that Ryan Jimmo has amnesia, and he forgets that he has amnesia, gets kicked in the chin, and then suddenly remembers that time when he broke his leg, and that the kick to the knee to the chin basically was like, oh my god, this hurts, ow, I'm done, no more fighting. And that's the end of how that fight goes.
Norman Park wins a decision over John Tuck.
Yeah, that was okay fight. Good decision. Park pushed the action. Not really much more you need to say about that one.
Quick submission in round one as Nicholas Musoki defeats Alicio Sakara.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. How do you put this? Nico? Yeah?
Yeah.
Nico had everything you could wish for in an armbar. It was awesome. I think I need to send you it. It was just really cool to watch.
Awesome. Love a good submission.
Mm-hmm.
John Lineker wins via TKO over Phil Harris.
Which is fine.
Okay.
It would have been a better fight if he hadn't have been fat.
And fat. How?
And by
how
fat, I
fat?
mean he came in 3 pounds overweight.
Yeah, and what weight was that again? They're like fucking cruiserweights or something.
Yes, he came in not at 125. He came in at 128, which for most people would be fine.
I hope his doctor checked him for diabetes.
Well, good concern. That I know that was the first thing I was thinking about when I watched this fight. But it's really sad because he would have a title fight now. Dana was saying, if he wouldn't continue being so fat all the time.
I'm picking up your sarcasm, by the way. How did Big Slow Barnett do? I saw that he won. What happened?
Yes, he did. He did a good job.
Nice. Wins by submission.
Yes. The journey to doing a good job was
It
was a little weird, and allow me to explain. The Big Slow kind of starts a little true to forms, a little slow in the round, but he really wants to stand up and box with Andrew Craig, and Andrew Craig is starting to look like he's finding a better way to get inside, but Big Slow hits a really nice overhand right, so it staggers Andrew Craig, and he looks like he's dropping like a potato sack, and next thing you know, you see Big Slow not swarm on him, but raise a hand in celebration. And then it's the quickest, he's not done, from raised hand to very low uppercut to try and finish the fight, but maybe a little bit too late. So Andrew Craig survives into the second round. Then after that, Andrew Craig comes back in. Big Slow puts him down again and still isn't quite finishing it. However, gets to a better position, gets a rear naked choke, and gets the submission win. So as our good friend Eric Jackman over on the MMA Hour put it, Big Slow won that fight in every way possible. A TKO, a KO, and a submission.
Getting the congratulations from us. Nice job, Big Slow. But, Raph, that takes us to Ultimate Fighter business. Let's go do some interviews. What do you say?
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Woo! Hey, people, this is a reminder. If you download the podcast on iTunes, head on over and leave us a review. We'll see you at VerbalTapCast.com. We have Josh Gentleman Hill on the line for the Ultimate Fighter review. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
We are doing great. We're very glad you're here. Mostly I am for Raph's Ultimate Fighter review because I'm hoping if you don't like it, you will go ahead and beat him up for all of Verbal Tap listeners. Is that acceptable?
Sure, I'm in.
Now we're talking.
I don't think the way that you...
Shut up, Raph. No, this is perfect.
No, he said yes because he was polite and Canadian. Hey, how about you don't beat me up and you beat Kevin up?
That works too.
Hey, Josh, don't get cute. I need you to focus on what we had agreed upon, which is you will beat up Raph.
I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. Raph, how are you doing? You ready for the review?
Oh yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm pumped. Let's do it.
All right. Warning. This is a 1-minute review of The Ultimate Fighter. And here we go.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, a lot of stuff happened, so now we're going to do a clip show. After 17 seasons of just dudes, we now present The Ultimate Fighter with 50% less Wang. And because we promised 12 episodes of Fox Sports 1 but only have 11 worth of content, let's take a look back. And through exclusive interviews with Dana, Rhonda, and Misha, they'll find new ways to say the same shit they've already covered in the past 7 episodes. So stop calling it a special episode, because no one gets their period. Or do they? The Ultimate Fighter clip show. Hey, who can forget the time that Ronda Rousey went crazy mad when Misha showed up at the Ultimate Fighter gym? Although I'm just now noticing that Misha has her sandals on the mat. Come on, Misha, you're better than that. Wait a second. A contract dispute with Dana White and Ronda Rousey? You don't say. Well, at least that kind of explains why Rousey was so crazy. Just goes to show these tough producers will edit you however they like, even if you're crazy to begin with. Ronda says that Misha was told to be purposely vague, so check plus she was, because that vagueness gave us our first glimpse of that sweet, sweet, crazy Ronda Rousey attitude. And then there were fighters, montage. Then Dana explains how a coin toss works. So there's a fucking coin. You fucking throw it in the air, but you're not sure why you want to throw it in the fucking first place, because you might want the first fucking pick or the first fucking fight. That's how a coin toss works. Juliana versus Shayna. Misha reveals that she wouldn't have picked that match first. And then, for the first time ever, men and women have to live together, just like on the real world. Dana, the biggest fucking question I got about men and women living together is, who the fuck's gonna hook up tonight? And Tim Gorman, remember him? He was there long enough to make some sexist comments. Misha, the guys were like, you're not going to tap us. And the girls were like, way. And the guys were like, no way. And we were like, pshaw. Then Ronda starts the mind games. Dana then laughs about Tim Gorman's injury. Your fucking hamstring's dead, you freaking idiot. And then brings back Louis Facette, because why the fuck not? And now some images of Shayna versus Juliana. Dana, Juliana basically didn't treat Shayna with any respect. And Misha thinks that the short amount of time gave Juliana a sense of mystery. And when they celebrated, Ronda said, whoa, take it easy there. You're celebrating a little too much. Then it's Beal versus Holdsworth. And Ronda's like, Chris is such a great person, and she really hates the fact that Team Tate is turning him into a bad person who picks on poor black guys with broken hands. After the commercial break, Ronda gives her team a message: stop losing. Then Misha tries a strange new idea: have the men train with the women. Misha tells the guys that they have to treat the girls with respect and punch them hard. Don't take it light on them. Wait, is this fighting or dating advice? I'm not quite sure. Then the voiceover guy reminds us that a tweet over a year ago brought some bad blood between Ronda and Misha. Then Misha is all like, Ronda, you don't even know how to hit pads, and shit breaks loose. Prompts Ronda to then bring over season 18 delight Coach Edmund, who gives Misha's boyfriend a stern warning and then says, there's too much cameras here. And then Misha says, look what I have to do here, people. I told you, she's crazy. Beal versus Holdsworth. And Holdsworth surprises everyone with his hands and wins the fight. Then it's Roxy versus Jessica. And Ronda loves Jessica's intensity. A little later, Coach Edmund thinks that Dennis Haldman is looking at him funny. Provocates him into a fight. And then Ronda pulls Edmund back and tells Hellman to watch it. Misha has a theory. I basically think that Ronda was scared Hellman would kick the crap out of Edmund, but, you know, whatever. We then see a clip of Misha schooling Edmund on what a threat sounds like. Misha, you threatened him on camera. I'm pretty sure it's on tape. No, I didn't. I said, I'll see him one day. I didn't say anything else. Oh, okay, that's not a threat. Got it. Yeah, that's exactly what I said, because I will see him one day. And a glorified hallway monitor, Dana White, has to drive Edmund home after everyone leaves. Roxy versus Jessica. Turns out everyone loves these two, even Ronda. And Ronda says that she hates passive-aggressive bitches and says that she was so much more respectful than Misha for not celebrating in the cage. Then Ronda brings in her mom to talk about the team dynamic and says, I don't know how to teach anything to these fighters, but I'm just going to watch them, and then I'm going to show them how to armbar people. Misha then takes the ultimate fighter tradition of playing pranks really seriously. And even Dana says, yeah, pranks are fucking funny, just not this fucking season. And Ronda tells us that giving a coupon with a small caricature of the Count isn't a joke. Is that because Coach Edmund's family was a bunch of vampires? Or am I missing something here? And Misha's like, but seriously, Edmund needs to do his eyebrows because, you know, they're really bad. Then Louis versus Davey. Misha says that Louis was just outmatched and Misha has respect for him as well. Up next, Raquel versus Jessamine. Dana White tells us Raquel Pennington is the first openly gay female to compete on The Ultimate Fighter. So fucking good for her. And Juliana wants to do is make Raquel pretty, but Raquel is pretty with who she is on the inside. And Dana's like, yeah, I personally fucking click with Raquel. I like her style, her personality, and the fact that she's like a dude. So Dana's like, I can give a shit if she's gay. She's fucking awesome. And Misha tells us that Raquel versus Jessamine has set a new bar for women's MMA, which is great because someone should offset the way it makes women's MMA look when Ronda flips Misha off post-fight. Ronda says that losing feels like dying, especially if it's her team. Later, Ronda pulls it together and gets the baby daddies on the team a gift for Father's Day. Ronda says it's a good thing they're away from their families and that we find out Davey's a crier. Then Misha decides to put up some photos of hybrid Ronda Rousey and Coach Edmund, and Dana says he's doing everything he can to save the the peace. Save kicking Coach Edmond off the show. Up next, Josh Hill and Michael Wooten. Oh, we know Josh is on the line, so I'm going to be very nice. They call Josh a one-tick pony, and the slam in the first round is entirely awesome. And Wooten tells Wooten that he has a way to fight. Ronda says she will never respect Misha, who will then be famous for her losses. Dana says he thinks he's had a great season so far. The show is then showing the Smiling at My Girls pain clip again, so they really must love that one. And Misha teases there's more to come. They do a couple complete with the ticker noise thing to let us know who's won and lost. And then next time on The Ultimate Fighter, final prelims, Cody takes on Anthony, but both fighters are really fat and struggle to make weight. Then it's Sarah versus Peggy, all next time on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yay!
Wow.
Josh, is that how you remember it?
That was to a T how I remember it.
Now, Josh, my first question off of all of that. Dana White loved referring
My best friend.
Yes, as a one-trick pony. Now, I really tried not to say that as many times as I could in the review, partially because I'm scared of you, but also partially because I think it's kind of a dick move. So my question to you is, what's up with that?
I don't know, man. Total dick move.
Total dick move. And Dana does have it out. You can see on the UFC's website, it says, while he claims his biggest challenge in life is being really incredibly good looking, Hill is very serious about becoming a UFC fighter. And it's as though Dana sort of wrote it. Like they put that on the website.
You know, man, we were at the hotel and they gave us those bio things to do, and they're like, name something that's like your biggest biggest hurdle in life. And I don't know, I don't have like that sob story. I didn't, come over cancer or anything like that. So we just decided to have some fun with it, and we were watching Zoolander, and we're like, let's just put in, ridiculously, really, really, really good looking.
It's a great choice of movies.
It is a great choice. And it's
Exactly.
also, I guess, if you're
Zoolander is
reading
one of the
those,
best.
I think if you're reading those, you definitely look at it and you go, "Oh, this guy. Okay, yeah, let's chat with him." I just love the fact that that's like the biggest hurdle in your life has just been like, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up today, because when you're really this good looking, it's like, why wake up? The morning should wake up to you.
Josh, now that you've seen the episodes, how do you feel about how you've been portrayed thus far?
I was all right with it. Like the only negative thing I got was Dana's comments, and after my fight when I was there, it was a close fight. I was obviously disappointed that I felt like I let myself down. I let the fight slip out from underneath my fingers. I thought I had it, but everybody in the house and everybody there said it was a good fight. It was close, back and forth, exciting, and I never got any negative feedback. And so when I was watching it, I didn't think Dana would say anything. I thought he made it say something, and I thought this kid was definitely just a wrestler when he came in, but he showed some more skills. But I don't know. The guy just got it out for me, I guess. I don't know what his deal is.
It's probably a Canadian thing.
I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, it might be one of those things. He just hates Canadians this week. He got really mad at. It's probably some passive aggressiveness that he has towards George St. Pierre that week, and he's just like, "Oh, I just hate Canadians this week.
Fuck them all."
Exactly.
I guess my question is, they called you a one-trick pony, but let me be very clear. That's a pretty good trick.
If it isn't broken, why fix it? That's what I've done majority of my career is come in, shoot a takedown, set up with my hands, get in, slam the guy down, and then usually ground and pound. I have a pretty dominant top control, and I've won the majority of my fights like that. So, that's what I try to do, and if it's, still works, then why not keep doing it?
And one of the things I really credit this episode of the the Ultimate Fighter that they did this week, because really it was a tedious thing for us to watch, because we're like, we know all of these things, and now they're just building on the drama. Like, there's very little emphasis on the fighters on this episode. It's all Misha and Ronda drama. But the one thing I was really happy to see is in your fight with Michael Wooten, you got to see a different angle of how much that slam at the very first round really seemed to affect him. Like, that looked destructive. So
I actually
I guess,
hurt myself on that slam. I hit my head really, really hard.
well, that does happen when you're that crazy. And I mean, the velocity and the speed of it, it looked really awesome, just from our perspective. So I guess when you're watching it, do you just kind of think to yourself like, hey, Dana, the first, hey, I suck is okay. The ninth, hey, tone it down, Dana.
Yeah.
Fuck yes,
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
I'm so glad I'm really becoming your inner rage captain right here and just expressing all the things you need to.
Nice rage.
But I really need you to walk me through. Like, what does your family, what do they think? Do they look at you like, are you okay? Like, what's happening?
Watching it with other people.
They're like, you know, that guy's a dick, pretty much. You know, everybody's always they're on my side, obviously. You know what I mean? Everybody around here in my area, but I don't know, it's like, don't let it bother you. Just kind of try and, you know, use it as motivation, I guess. And what am I going to do? I can't, you know, I'm going to cry about it. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. Just, I don't know. I got to just get better as a fighter, and that's all I can do.
Josh, when you're looking at it like this, I guess the next kind of question I have for you is, you know, Michael Wooten was even saying that you were a one-trick pony, but then when you talk with him, he has such a great dynamic with you, and we had him on the podcast, and he had nothing but complimentary things to say about you and your game. Talk to us a little bit about the post-fight with him. I heard you guys had a slumber party and ate ice cream together.
Of course. So isn't that what we do after fights? But no, I like Wooten. He's a good dude, man. I liked him, you know, before we fought. Obviously, I got along with him, and I got along with everybody in the house, but especially him and Davey. You know, they were both good guys, both the Brits. Huge bantamweights. Like, I came into that, I thought I was big.
Yeah, they are.
But those guys, you know, put me to shame on the weight category.
Anymore, even the bantamweights are just they're becoming huge.
I know.
Yeah.
It is getting huge. I used to be a big one, but I don't know. I could actually probably go down to flyweight now and looking at some of these guys.
Kick ass in flyweight.
But I like Wooten. He's an awesome guy. Very respectful. And good fighter too, man. Like, I came out. You know, I thought I got to warm up with him actually at the fight to get in the house, and I seen him hitting pads, and he looked like a really good striker. Long, like, hits hard, good crisp punches. So I definitely, you know, I didn't want to sit in the end of his punches and make it a kickboxing fight with a guy. That's what his main thing is. So I wanted to get in close, make it a wrestling match, take him down, and look to ground and pound and submit him. And that's exactly how the first round went. You know, it went perfect. But then, you know, he had a nice game plan as well. The second round, he came out and landed that flush knee to my face. And, he took that round. It took me a little while to get back and recover from it. But it was a good fight, man. I got nothing but respect for Mike.
And he had nothing but respect for you when we talked to him. Switching gears a little bit, this most recent episode that was the recap episode, is it at all possible we could have just gotten a free grappling seminar from you, maybe? You could have just taken a few guys in the house. Did anyone approach you about that?
No, but that's a good idea.
Right? It would have been a way better use of time.
Why not, right?
Exactly. They clearly had things to fill. Did you watch this episode, and, you know, just how'd you feel about it?
I did. I wasn't thrilled with it. You know, I kind of just thought it was kind of a waste of time, to be honest. You know, we've gone 7 weeks, and it's not like everybody forgot what happened. It just, I don't know why they did it. I guess, I don't know if they were scheduled to have a certain amount of episodes and whatnot, but I think they could have done without it.
Do you have a ritual for watching The Ultimate Fighter? Do you have something that you do?
Yeah, I go to Buffalo Wild Wing, actually. They're one of my sponsors, and we go there every Wednesday night and watch it.
Nice. That's a badass sponsor to have, to go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right on, I know, right?
Yeah, so Josh, talk us through your MMA journey. I'm curious, just because we know you were a grappler, obviously, and a very good one, but tell us the grappling MMA stuff. Yeah, and again, our compliments to your grappling record.
Thanks. Yeah, I I didn't start training until I was like 20, 21, and I played a whole bunch of sports growing up, but never any martial arts. And then I just seen a grappling class going on at the gym I was at, and I went in, did pretty well first time, and came back, signed up the next day, and within like a month or so, I was in my first grappling tournament, and I did well with guys that are have been grappling a lot longer than me, so I was hooked right away. And then from there, I just kept training, did a whole bunch of submission wrestling and grappling tournaments, in the local area and GTA. And just went into it, and I didn't have any amateur fights at all. I just my coach came up to me one day, and goes, "Yeah, I got a fight at 145 in 2 weeks. Do you want to fight?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah." So I took it.
At 145, not 135 even?
Yeah, I was at 45, so I didn't know anything about cutting weight at the time either. So I thought that was my natural weight, I guess, just because I was walking around at like 47, 48.
That's almost. It's almost funny in retrospect.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the sauna, sweating out a pound. I'm like, this weight cutting sucks. But yeah, no. And then I fought my first fight, won, and that kind of just spawned my career, I guess.
So a big part of fighting, especially early on, is being able to control the nerves. Were you just always able to control them, and it was no big deal?
No, not at all. When I get nerves, I still get lots of nerves, actually. But the first time I did it, it was just kind of like a thing where, okay, I'm going to fight, and it just happened. It wasn't like I had 6 weeks to think about it. So I think it actually was good in a way, because I went in there and I kind of just acted like a street fight. Because my skill set, I didn't have anything I have now, or not near what I have now. So I just kind of went there swinging. If you ever seen my fight, it's like I throw. It's an exciting fight, but my technique is just so sloppy. I'm just throwing bombs and stuff. But yeah, like I remember when I weighed in, I'm like, I seen the guy at the weigh-ins. I'm like, this guy's skinny. You know what I mean? I'm going to destroy this guy around. Then I hopped in the cage the next day, and I looked across the cage, and the guy's like, I'm like, that's not the same guy as I seen yesterday. What's going on here? Guy probably weighed about $160 at least in the cage. So definitely that's where I realized I was definitely a bantamweight.
I do want to ask this. Now, there's a great moment where you decide that you're going to break family tradition and bring shame upon them by going into real wrestling, even though they have pro wrestling in their background. How did that conversation go? Was it hard to just be like, guys, I hate to break it to you, I'm doing actual freestyle wrestling? And did they just go,
I never did any wrestling, actually, to be honest. Everybody thinks I'm a wrestler. Yeah.
Well, you were pitched as a wrestler.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like,
I know, right? Like, I never had a wrestling match in my life.
So good
on
at
the
wrestling.
show.
That's so weird. But like, now that you've gone into MMA, do you feel like you can steal some of that pro wrestling thunder to cut promos on maybe more of your opponents? Because I feel we got to get you to fight back against Dana.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm always been a huge fan of pro wrestling. I think that they should, like, obviously not go to obviously keep the fights real and whatnot, but like they should have more of a show wise. Remember how Pride did when the guys came out?
Oh, of course.
Like make it like that shit that yells your voice out, that announces your voice, and like the pyrotechnics. Like that's awesome, man. I think fans would love that too, and make it more of a show.
Well, I think along with the package, we need to give you a finishing move. We need to give you the whole deal. But the big thing for me and the concern is we need to get you to start cutting promos. Do you feel confident enough to cut a promo at the expense of Dana White right now?
Dana.
At the expense of Dana White. I definitely could do a promo, I think. I actually went to a pro wrestling event last week. I had a buddy of mine that's a pro wrestler, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to come out?" And I'm watching wrestling. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I went, and it was just a small, like, little venue. And then he goes, "Yo," at halftime, he goes, "Can I use you in the show?" I'm like, "Sure." So he goes, "Okay, I'm going to announce the crowd that you're here, and then I'm going to come out, and I'm going to start jive talking." All right. So the announcer just announces, we have a tough contestant here, blah, blah, blah. And then when he comes out, he just starts talking shit to me, getting up in my face. So I was with my buddy, and, like, we played it up real nice, and we, like, ran at him, pushed him, like, tried to start a fight, and the security jumped in, and even some of the security guards didn't know that they thought it was real. So it looked awesome.
Did you get in a good hit on him? Because you always have to try. Like you need to get one hit in, then they break it up. Did you get any hits in? Like
I didn't. The security guards jumped in actually too quick because they actually thought it was real. So, which is a good thing though.
No big deal. MMA fighter.
I was about to say
taken down by security guard. Not a big
probably in everyone's best interest, especially when you know somebody that well. You feel that you have free reign to basically hurt them as much as you want to be like, hey, buddy, you knew it was coming. May I suggest your finisher?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just feel based on the evidence that we have, you have a very nice spine buster that's literally picking up and literally dropping the human being. I think that might work well for you. So work that into your repertoire. I think that's great information to know that you were at an event. I think we have a second career picked out for you in case something goes awry, because it sounds like we just need to work on your ability to cut promos.
Yeah, that'd be cool for sure. Ken Shamrock style.
Exactly. And see how that worked out for. Wait, that actually didn't work out for him. But
I actually have a theory on how to get this started. I think you should issue a public challenge and issue it to Dana and say that you're going to knock your opponent out in the first round. You're going to knock him out. Don't listen to it or care about it. Go in and fight your game, but just say you'll knock him out. And then that'll be almost funnier when you don't actually do it and you do your game.
Would that be funny if I just shot in right away?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's the ultimate. Exactly. It's the ultimate psych out. Your opponent thinks you're going to try and throw hands. Everyone does, and then you just play your game. It's perfect.
That'd be hilarious, actually.
It would be hilarious as you knock him down. And it's like he said first round. Dana would be pissed.
This is so genius. Now, here's the thing. Because you're so polite, I'm really nervous that you're all going to get really nice in your promos. So give me some evidence right now by cutting that promo on Dana White. I know you can do it. I know you have it in you.
Right now?
Oh my God. Do you think these people just take all week to do it? No. It's on the spot, man.
On the spot.
I had a few beers at the hockey game, man. And I'm not just being stereotypical. He was at a hockey game.
He really was. He was being a Canadian stereotype and watching hockey right before doing this. It's like, oh no, I'm so good looking. I just can't. It's so hard. He's going to escape this interview not doing this.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I can't think on the spot here. I can't. I don't know what I got.
Okay, what if we feed you some lines? Kevin, you got anything?
Well, I always say Dana White looks like a testicle with a suit on. So... That's really my go-to with him.
I don't know if I should. That would be a smart thing to say, right?
Yeah, career-wise.
All right. I feel we may be hurting this man's paychecks. Should we? I got a better one. Josh, I got one better for you. If you're not going to go at Dana White, I know you're buddies with Michael Wooten. Why don't you cut a promo at him?
He does have weight-cut penis.
Weight cut penis. I know all about the weight cut penis, and I definitely wouldn't want Rhonda to see it. I feel bad for Mikey for that one.
So it is a real thing. It's not just something he made up. This is people deal with this.
Oh, it's real. It's real. It's George Costanza real, but it was in the pool.
That's a good reference.
So when it does happen, what is the first thing that goes through your mind?
I never want to have to weigh in naked.
Okay. That's a good start.
Yeah, it's like, you're dehydrating your whole body and everything shrinks along with that.
Is there ever a fear that it's not coming back?
Oh, I think that's always
Do you just
fear.
go crazy for a minute and you just go, oh my God, no.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I would. I would lose my shit.
I'm asking the expert here, Kev.
Oh,
okay. I don't know. At that point, you're just kind of like, I just want to eat and drink. I don't really care about anything else. And then it comes back. So
it does.
It gets
There's
back
a
to normal.
happy end to this, guys. Pun intended. Now, Josh, you're going to cut this promo, and it's going to be at Mike Wooten's expense. And you have an opponent who had weight cut penis. This writes itself. I think you can do this.
This writes itself. I can't talk shit about Wu. Like, he's too nice of a guy. He's even more polite than the Canadians.
Hey, while Rev has an aneurysm, Josh, where can people find you if they're looking for you out in the world?
You find me on Twitter at GentlemanJHill, and Facebook, and my website, joshhillmma.ca.
And Josh, if I was looking to book a model to serve drinks and fruit at a party for a bizarre evening painted in gold.
You can just call me directly, buddy.
Okay, I could just call you directly. That's perfect. Okay, can you maybe explain why this is on your UFC biography?
And real quick, is handing serving drinks, is that your phrasing or the UFC's?
That was probably mine. That's what I did. I just sat there, painted like a Spartan, and served up like champagne.
It sounds like you were at a really kinky James Bond party.
That's exactly what it was like, man. It was in Toronto, and it was at a big mansion, and like you tell, these people are loaded, and they're throwing the guy, I think, like a 50th birthday party, and it was like they hired body painters and the band walk around, the guy playing saxophone. It was total James Bond.
It's so weird.
It's one of those moments where you do the I've arrived.
I'm there.
Yeah, I made it. This is it.
Yeah, it was a Saturday night.
Josh, Gentleman, Hill, we really cannot thank you enough for being on the podcast. You were great. Please come back and talk to us again.
No, thanks, guys. Anytime, just let me know. I'm down to come back on whenever you guys want.
Ladies and gentlemen, Verbal Tap is proud to present from the Ultimate Fighter, Juliana, Peña. How are you doing tonight, Juliana?
Good. How are you, Kevy, Levy, and Raffy?
Oh, she's so...
very nice.
You are adorable. Juliana, on your biography...
Yeah.
It says that you are a self-professed big mouth. Is that smack talk or just you're a loud person? What is that?
No, I don't talk a lot of smack. It's just like sometimes my mouth is my worst enemy, like my mom always told me. And so sometimes I like don't have a censor and just say whatever like comes to mind, or I'm kind of like too brutally honest, and like it ends up getting me in a lot of trouble, and I just kind of have a big mouth in that sense. Sometimes like It
Yeah.
I talk too much, if
My
you will.
algebra teacher used to say
Perfect. That's exactly what we need here on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good thing of a podcast guest, that you talk too much. That's a great thing. I tell a little bit too much of the truth. That's awful. So, Raph, I know we're not doing a 1-minute review, but have we explained the concept? I guess, are you familiar?
But are you familiar with our 1-minute reviews?
No, I'm not familiar with your 1 minute. What is that?
Okay, so here's what happens. A lot of conventions happen on The Ultimate Fighter. A lot of stuff that we see all the time. Fighters train, fighters fight. So we always try and pick it apart and make fun of everything. And we did one for you already. I might have done a very, very bad impression of you. So I'd like to thank Kevin for bringing that up so you can possibly punch me in the face. But yeah. Here's the good news, though. Since we know you'll be fighting in the future, at least the series is leading us to believe that, we will be doing another recap of your upcoming episode. So we'd love to hear your input on that after we do that.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to, but what was it rude?
Okay, here's a good question. Was it rude? We run a fine line. We're respectful, but we also are very funny, so we got to make sure to go with the funny.
Yeah, plus, you won, so you're good.
Yeah, when you win, you do tend to get more complimentary language. But here's one thing I did want to know that we did see as a recurring on the 1 minute reviews that we've done so far is you wrote letters to people on your team. Now, did that continue? Because we only saw it on 2 episodes. Did you write one to everybody?
No, because then everybody turned into, like, jerks, so I was like, screw you guys.
I mean, did it feel weird to be criticized for being really, really happy for your teammates and really trying to bring team morale to it?
Did it make me happy?
I mean, was it just jarring? Did it feel weird to have that pushed back to you when what I'm assuming what you were doing was just good-natured and being like, yeah, I really support my team?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it was, and I just felt like it completely backlashed, and I was like, didn't know where I went wrong, and by that time it was getting to a point where I didn't even care to fix it. So, you know, it's the Ultimate Fighter show, not the ultimate, you know, drama, make best friends or whatever. Like, you gotta punch these people in the face at the end of the day, and there's only one contract, so.
Well, here's my question to you. What did you think of Anthony Gutierrez's impression of you reading that letter?
I thought it was, like, really funny, but I just, like, wanted, like, people to know that I don't really, like, I don't talk like that, you know? That's not how I sound. It was just embarrassing.
You mean you don't sound like this when you're writing a letter like Anthony Gutierrez sounded?
Yeah, and they were nice letters anyways. Like, Chris totally came up to me and was, like, genuine, like, happy that I wrote that for him, and I was like, that was super nice of you. And, you know, Roxanne was super, you know, grateful for it, too, and that was kind of the response that I wanted to get anyways, just because I know how I felt when I heard those words of encouragement and how much it motivated me and how much it made me, you know, want to just perform at my best and, you know, just be number one and stuff. And so I just wanted to share some of my thoughts with them and just let them know that I had their back and that I was rooting for them.
And that's what I thought was so great is there was a nice difference between the Holdsworth broing out and reading it and between Roxanne, who looked so touched in that episode when she got that letter.
Well, and I bet he was really touched too, but, like, I did not expect him to go and, like, share it with them, you know? Like, when it seemed like he was genuine, and then he went and, like, shared it like that, and I'm like, well, what else did you think was gonna happen? Like, that was not meant for that, so I was kind of like, I don't know. It was kind of like... I guess you could say it embarrassed me at that point because that's not what I was trying to get at.
Well, you, of all people, shouldn't be embarrassed, especially with how great your fight was. It feels like this is what we love about The Ultimate Fighter. We have these experienced fighters that are supposed to be just walking through the house, and then a Juliana Pena comes up, and boom, it's just it's not that easy. So how does it feel now, you know, post-upset? Because you were pitched as this underdog. How do you feel now that you've won and we've seen the episode?
It feels good. I just rewatched the episode today, actually, and I kind of, like, wish in some areas that I would have, you know, said things a little differently. But I was just so ecstatic that I won, and I was overjoyed just watching, you know, myself be able. It's almost like how do you say when they like outer body experience, you know, like you watch it back and you're like, holy cow, was that really me? Did I really do that? Like, what? And then, you know, I can't look away, and then I'm like, ooh, watch me when I do this here. And then, like, I guess somebody's not. If somebody that I'm watching it with isn't watching, like, every 5 seconds, I'm like, you missed it, like, and I have to, like, go back and, like, be like, you know, like, it's weird. And it's just crazy it's almost surreal to be like, oh my gosh, that's what I do, you know, that's me, that's what I do on a daily basis. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's a great feeling.
What was maybe one of the things that you thought you would like to rephrase? Was there something that jumped out at you or a couple small little things?
Well, yeah, I'm like sitting there being like, oh, I'm just worried because she's like a submission specialist, you know, and like I was saying how she's been, you know, doing this 3 times longer than, you know, if she has the edge, it's because she's been doing it 3 times as longer or 3 times longer than I have, you know, and so it was kind of just like it looked unconfident on my part. And also I wish that they wouldn't have like kept asking me about wearing makeup and stuff, because it kept making me like rephrase like the fact that I like wear lip gloss and stuff when I like don't, like when I win in the cage. It's not like I'm thinking like, oh yeah, see, I'm a girly girl and I can win fights, you know what I mean? Like that's not like how I am. So they kind of like got me as like this like total prima donna, you know.
I mean, that's got to be interesting because you are one of the first Ultimate Fighters to wear lip gloss since Adam Sella on last season. But you know, the thing is that when you did those makeovers, what do you feel your success rate was in helping them with the makeovers?
Oh, I think my success rate was a hit, you know. I think that it was a total I had to pat myself on the back a little bit, and I was like, wow, I did a good job. And you know, if I would have had more time, or if they would have allowed, I'm sure I would have like took the time to like straighten and curl the hair and everything like that. But I love doing that kind of stuff, you know, and I just thought it was so fun. Plus, you're in there for such a long time, you're bored, you know, you're begging, itching, and scratching for things to do and talk about. So it was all in good fun, and I loved it. I wish it could have been more like that, you know, because those were the fun times that I had in the house. And other times you can see, like when I was watching the first episode again today, or the second episode with me and Shayna, like Raquel and Sarah are like being like, oh, she's gonna lose. You know, they totally say I'm gonna lose, and then like right after my fight against Shayna, I like go and I give them a big hug, and you know, I'm just like, man, I should have just. Here I am putting them makeup on them and being like, we're girlfriends, and then they're just like, oh, here.
I mean, it was so cool to see you doing that. In a certain way, it looked like Miss Congeniality, where like you're getting them to walk around and like be human beings with heels.
Plus, here's my 2 cents, and here's why I enjoyed it, Juliana, and I stick by this. You're also, like, you guys do know the other part of your job outside of just fighting is you are sort of entertainers. I mean, that's why people are tuning into the show. So I always prefer the Ultimate Fighter cast that do more entertaining things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I tend to really enjoy that side of it, and that's Raph. This is our way into the Ultimate Fighter house. We could sponsor like a sketch comedy hour each night. Make it sort of a variety show. I'm just thinking out loud, but Juliana would have been great with costume and makeup. We could have thrown this thing.
Yeah, totally.
Saturday Night Live would have been worried. I'm just saying. Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year though. I'm kind of busy this year.
Juliana, talk to us about how it felt to be the quintessential Ultimate Fighter upset that we get to see. It feels like this always happens, that you get a tenured track fighter, someone that thought they would just get it because of experience, and then they get knocked out by someone they weren't expecting. How did that fuel you as you went forward?
It felt good because sometimes I like have like a confidence issue. I think it stems from the fact that like I was coming off of 2 losses when I first did my elimination fight to get in the house, and you know, I was just still kind of set back in a way from an accident that I had been in. So when I was fighting Shayna and was so unconfident, you know, and being like, oh, you know, she's a submission specialist, you know, and then to win that fight, you know, it just totally like boosted, you know, my confidence in the sense that I was like, okay, it's time to move on and to press forward and know that you have the skill to get in the cage and to compete with any 135er girl that there is in the world. So, you know, it was great for me propelling forward. It made me feel really confident about, you know, my skills as a fighter and being a good fighter.
Did it feel weird to have your narrative, which was like, I'm being very honest about what I feel are things I'm going to have to work on my game, versus Shayna's consistently like, yeah, I basically have won this fight? Like, was it weird to watch that?
It was, because I remember after the fight she had whispered, you know, oh, that was all, you know, just shit talk, you know, but to me, I was like, holy cow, like I had no idea that she was talking that much smack, and so it was just kind of funny, you know. It's just, I feel like it's you know, you chalk it up to 1 for the Venezuelan vixen, you know, and it's like, oh, yay, I did it, and, you know, it's a proud little moment. But you know what? It's a fight, and anything can happen. So Shayna's a great fighter, and, you know.
Because, I mean, I'm still astounded that you're breathing her air. I think that was the weirdest insult of all of them. That was like, she shouldn't be allowed to breathe my air. And I'm like, what?
That was also a lot of them talking like Ronda Rousey, yeah. It felt like. Like they were starting to use Rouseyisms where it was very authoritative.
Yeah, like this is just 1 10-minute cardio session I can choose to end whenever I want. Like,
So Juliana also works on impressions. We're finding out.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was not on your Ultimate Fighter House resume, though. Raph and I have to talk to you about some things that are on your biography. Are you ready to have this discussion?
I think so.
Okay.
That's good.
It says here you refuse to let anything get in the way of your dream to be recognized as a world-class fighter. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, like I was saying before, you know, like it is a new sport, not that new, but, you know, hopefully one day the UFC can be as big, in my eyes it is as big, if not bigger than, you know, like NFL football, you know, but that's like America's sport and stuff like that. But, you know, when sports kind of like are a part of like, you know, America and just, you know, the world as a whole. And so to leave a mark in history and to be a part of, you know, something that's kind of fresh for women and something that we weren't allowed to do before and breaking new ground in that area is awesome. And it's really, you know, a good thing to be a part of. So I just want to be recognized and kind of leave a trail in that mark as just being a great fighter for women's mixed martial arts.
That's a very good answer.
Thanks.
We have to ask the second one. The Venezuelan vixen once fought shortly after being hit by a car.
That is correct.
You fought in a cage. Could you tell us a little bit about what happened? We need the narrative here. We need the story on this.
Okay. Here's the story. I was supposed to fight Lauren Taylor in Alaska. And you know, you sometimes, well, in my experience anyway, sometimes it's good to get your brain off of the fight, you know, until, you know, you can focus on the fight and when you get closer to fight time. But I had promised my girlfriend that I would be the designated driver, and even though it was late at night, I'm thinking, okay, anything to get my mind off of the fight, you know, and I was just hanging out with my girlfriend. So we were walking to this new bar that, you know, I wasn't drinking and I was kind of lagging behind, and these guys came rallying around the corner and were like yelling at me, you know, Mamacita, whoop, 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 you know, and they passed this parallel parking spot and then stopped at a red light, and then if there was a car behind them, they wouldn't have been able to do it, but then they like hit the gas and like reversed to the parallel that they had already passed, and just instead of like recorrecting the other way to park really fast in the parallel, they like slammed on the gas and jumped over the curb while I was walking and next to my girlfriend's, and I was, you know, knocked unconscious, and I broke my nose, and when I woke up, I thought I was in a like a gang shootout thing, you know. I thought that somebody was trying to shoot me.
Sure.
And so I started running, flailing all over the place. Thankfully, there was a cop, 2 cops right across the light that saw, you know, the whole thing, and those guys, one of the guys had just gotten out of jail like that day, and I don't know, his other homie had a warrant out for his arrest, but they were definitely messed up, and it was just an unfortunate thing. But then I took a fight right after that, like shortly after, because the main event had fallen through, and I figured that it was going to be a thing that was going to, you know, lift my spirits and get me out of the funk that I was feeling at that time, and that was probably just not the smartest thing to do. I took a fight up a weight class, and it was on short notice, and I wasn't really aware of the opponent that I was fighting, and you know, just kind of went for the kill and just got too excited and overzealous, and got my arm dislocated in the middle of the second round, but kept but kept fighting and didn't tap, and then the doctors stopped it, and I was like, put this thing back in round 3. And
would that be the TKO doctor stoppage on your? Okay, so
Yeah.
let me. First of all, Jesus, that's a story.
Yeah,
Wow.
And then I had to live and sleep in the same room as that girl.
No. So
you had a week. Jeez.
Oh my God. And this is something that the UFC felt like, yeah, she got hit in by a car and she fought. And that's a great thing to put on your resume there.
Well,
first of all, how is that how they worded it on the website?
Sure.
Second of all, how did this not come up like Jump Street on your fight resume? I'm just surprised.
I don't know. I guess they just chalk it up as a TKO doctor stoppage.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make excuses. Bottom line, though, and that's the thing about fighting with me. You know, I lost fair and square, and every dog has its day, and that fight taught me a ton.
Well, let's be very clear.
Let's be very clear. Not every dog gets run over before taking a fight.
That's true.
That's crazy.
That's also true. That's a damn good excuse.
God.
I was more laughing just because mixed martial artists they're a different breed.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage to get in the cage as it is. It takes more courage than that if you were in an accident that you were in, like something sort of traumatic and misunderstood like that. That's nuts, and you were able to get in the cage.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about the UFC resume deal is that when you're trying out for the Ultimate Fighter, you asked me before what questions that people ask a lot. You know, how do you get on the Ultimate Fighter? If you do go and try out, you know, they're looking for crazy things. They're looking for, you know, somebody to have like some, you know, girth behind who they are and some personality behind who they are as a fighter, you know. And so that's what I put out. I put things that stood out and that jumped out, and you know, that's what gets their attention, and those are all true things that happened to me. So that's, I guess, makes for an even better story.
This sounds like a great reminder as to why Kevin and I are ultimate fighters. I think it's one of those things where I hear that and I go, no, you know what? I'm good. I don't think I need to go get run over by a car. I'm good.
I'm not ready.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's one of those gut check moments because you always have that back of your mind, you know, fans that watch sports. It's always like, oh, I could throw. Peyton Manning just has a great offense, right? You always sort of see that with fighters. It's like, you know, I do jiu-jitsu, maybe, and then you hear these stories. It's like, oh, no, I'm not interested. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, like Peyton Manning and stuff like that, you know, you got to be willing to play, you know, for 60 minutes for the whole game. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between losing and winning. And I just think that it's just one of those things. You either got it or you don't. And some people can do it, and other people say, she can have it. That's okay.
And Juliana,
let
me ask about this. What do you feel was the greatest takeaway about that experience? Because it sounded like a myriad of like terrible things, but you've obviously come far enough to make it onto the Ultimate Fighter and have a super good showing so far that we've seen. So, like, what was the big takeaway that you had from that really, really crazy event in your life?
I think, you know, just getting back on the saddle, you know, and just doing it. And, you know, instead of talking about it, be about it. And that's kind of the difference, you know. You can't just, you know, nobody likes to have those coulda, woulda, shoulda things. And so to just continue and to keep fighting and to keep taking fights and stuff like that is just what, you know, propels me to keep doing good and to keep my focus and remember, you know, why I do this and my drive and everything like that.
Damn right.
Yep.
Well, as anyone that has seen you in The Ultimate Fighter now, and if you haven't, go back and check out that episode. We know you're a fighter. You brought as much aggression, and you just pushed the action. You controlled the fight. It was really fun to see. Where can people find you if they are looking to follow you or just be more fans as the Venezuelan Vixens fan club starts to grow?
That fan club would start at Venezuelan Vixen on Facebook. Like, I have my own fan page there, and it's called the Venezuelan Vixen, but you might find it under Juliana, the Venezuelan Vixen Peña. As far as my Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat go, it's at Venezuelan Vixen. So everybody can just find me there.
Cool. And did you
There
have
it is.
an event that you were talking to us off air about that you wanted to talk about to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. My training partner, I call her the Monarch, but her name is Elizabeth Phillips, and she's a badass. And she's fighting November 20th at Northern Quest Casino in Spokane, Washington. She's gonna throw down with another tough girl, and it's gonna be a war. And my brother-in-law is also fighting on the main event, and yeah, it's going to be a great card. And so it's at Northern Quest Casino in Spokane, Washington. Airway Heights actually is where it's at, but it's going to be awesome. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you should definitely make it out.
I love it. It sounds like a great card, but a very confusing Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's going to be a stacked card for sure. And Thanksgiving, I don't even want to think about at this point.
I just love the fact that you have a brother-in-law fighting. That to me is so crazy to just be checking in and just be like, yep, all right, see you at Christmas too. Bye.
Yeah.
The whole family apparently likes to fight. So we can't thank you enough, Juliana. She literally just got done doing some MMA practice out there at Sick Jitsu. She's about to go eat. She held off just so she could talk to us for 20 minutes. So we cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. And everyone is going to flock to the Twitter site. Go find Juliana. And we will hopefully have you back again as we get to watch you more this season on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, Kevy Levy and Raffy, it was a pleasure. And I do have to go now. I get very hangry when I don't eat, and I
Absolutely.
would hate those fans that are going to start following me at Venezuelan Vixen to, see that side of it. So it was a pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a nice seamless. That's perfect. Juliana Peña. It's not yours. That was me. Josh Hill and Juliana Peña. I'm trying to. How did I do it the first time? I think I fucked it up now, Raph.
You did it when you look like you were impaling when you just go
Peña.
Yep. It's actually borderline racist to her.
The Venezuelan Vixen is better anyway. That's a cool.
That's an
title.
awesome.
I think Vixen's just a sharp word. Fun Ultimate Fighters. They're both good. It's gonna be cool to see it. They both have cool different personalities, which always makes it's fun to get to know them. Behind the scenes.
And they're super nice to us, which is such a weird thing to get used to for us. Because why should they be nice to us?
Yeah. I have a new segment I'm going to introduce for you right here at the random. Are you ready for this, Ref?
I don't know because I have no idea about this segment in the least, but sure.
I wrote down throughout the podcast I was listening for my favorite joke, your best aside, and here it is. It was, as you were explaining, you were saying to Juliana she's the first person to wear lip gloss since Adam Sella.
Yes.
And, sometimes we don't get to stop and hit replay or give the proper due they deserve. So I just thought I'd bring it back up. That was my favorite aside joke. I also appreciated your reference back to the inner rage captain to Josh Hill. That was a double insider, and it went towards the rage captain.
Double insider. I hope it didn't get her pregnant. Hey-oh. Woo!
I think that one was with Josh Hill. So.
Yes, that was.
Okay.
I do love that now we're giving gold stars for my good jokes. So I'm gonna create a chart.
Not even gold stars. I'm just putting down. I thought these were above average work tonight, and they were asides.
Thank you.
That's the category. That's the criteria.
I'm very sad to report I don't have anything written down. But Kevin.
I mean, who can remember all the good ones that I spew forth on an average?
Now you're making me take this a completely different way.
Okay.
It was going to be super positive, and now it's just, nope, Kevin, you deserve no affirmations. You're a terrible.
Yeah. This happened to me in high school algebra, too. My teacher used to tell me I talked just a little. I usually talk myself out of good things. Hey, thanks to No Concept Jiu-Jitsu out there in Maryland, BJJ and MMA Academy, we have a seminar coming up here in November I'm looking forward to. But before that, we're going to be out at the Jiu-Jitsu Expo. Raph and I in the same place to celebrate the Big 5-0.
That's right. Are you excited about this?
I'm beyond excited.
That's so great because
I've never been to LA before.
I don't know how we're going to do the podcast in person in the same room. Like, I don't know how that's going to work.
What if it doesn't go? Well, yeah, there might be a lot of conflict. What if we get into some verbal altercations, things escalate? You know, you never know what's going to get thrown.
On the production schedule, I'm definitely building in time for us to fight.
Yeah,
like
it's good.
It's going to be both.
You know, dogs have to get that energy out.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be time for us built in verbally fighting and then physically fighting.
We have to separate the two.
Yeah.
But like you said, pay attention. You might get a video of both.
Yep.
That's it for me on the shout-outs. I will thank my parents who came out this last weekend, and I got to see a little bit of the podcast production stuff, and were highly entertained by my antics out here, so that's always fun. Raph?
I'd like to also thank Kevin's parents, just because I'm sure they've kept him in line, and we all know that's a terribly difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
But
every day's a struggle.
Let's put it this way. My shout-outs are as follows. Shout-out to Valley Martial Arts Center.
VMAC.
That was almost like a yodel.
Yeah, I wanted to add a little spice and speed it up.
Okay. Valley Martial Arts Center, so good to train there. Great week of training. I'm very, very happy. Just getting back to it. Like, when you have a couple good days and you're like, yeah, okay, that's less terrible.
Mm-hmm. All right. I remember how to do this jiu-jitsu thing.
That wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but oh nope, this is still terrible. But hey,
that
good days.
Could have been worse.
Yeah. I will say that a great kind of week. Shout out to Carlo. Next shout out goes to Nigel. Nigel is oddly a guy I got to train with at a different place this week, and he is a pro wrestling commentator.
Nice.
That's really
cool.
And isn't that just a random thing to run into?
It is a random thing
when you're at a jiu-jitsu class. He and I got to talking, and he just drops that in, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I do a podcast, and we're MMA, and that's really cool." And he's like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I also do pro wrestling commentary." And I go, "That what? Oh, I didn't expect that. All right, cool. That's awesome." So he was really good to train with, and hopefully he'll enjoy our pro wrestling commentary in the beginning, and also our reluctance from Josh Hill to try and cut a promo. And we will get him to do one, I promise.
Oh, he'll be back.
Yeah, screw that guy. He's too nice.
We're calling you out, Josh Hill.
That's right. What are you going to do about it? Be polite and say nothing in return?
Hockey called. It said just keep avoiding us. That's a plan. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't my best work, but I couldn't just call him out and then not say something.
Hold on. Let's end on a stronger note. Hey, Josh Hill. I heard you're Canadian. Slam.
We're gonna have to do some work.
we have some work.
We'll get to the drawing board.
Right. Hey, but thanks everybody. Good week, and I think I'm shouted out for the day.
Love it. That'll do it for us over here at Verbal Tap. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight. Very similar sometimes. my performing voice in my podcast.